Welcome! Welcome to Hug Nation. Well, I gotta say, I have a lot on my mind this week. So we will continue with our ongoing saga about Burning Man tickets and our place in it all. Now, I need to clarify a little bit of who I am. I just happen to be somebody who has been going to Burning Man for 14 years, participating my heart out, and have been massively transformed by the experiences, the trials, the challenges, the opportunities, the connections of Burning Man, and then have tried to implement that into many parts of my life. So as I share here, it is not as a representative of Burning Man or a Burning Man apologist, although that has certainly appeared that way to some. I saw this on the Shroom today, which is the Burning Man version of The Onion. I don't mean to imply that everything is fine and there's no reason to be upset. What I have learned from Burning Man is that no matter how bad the dust storms get, no matter how rough the situation is, no matter how crushed your plans are, it is what you do in that moment. It is what opportunity you see, is what you do from the wreckage that determines your happiness and what kind of person you are and how you interact with the world and the effect you have on the world. One thing to big picture look at this is that this cycle that Burning Man is going through is not happening in a vacuum. It is the fractal unfolding of all organizations. There is this expression of freedom that attracts other people who love freedom that starts to get out of control, and then a social contract and order is required to try to maintain this system. And then eventually this system of order becomes restrictive. And then people say, screw this, and they go off and do something else new. And they hit their Plymouth Rock, or they hit their Baker Beach, or they hit their Black Rock Desert. And that's, I think, part of the situation we're in right now. It's not a result of anything but the natural order of all things in nature and the universe. So yeah, we can try to steer it as best as possible, but we also need to roll with it and evolve with it. Years ago, I was in a camp called Xara, and this was a massive camp. I believe it was 2000, 2001. And we had an incredibly ambitious plan. We had a fully enclosed sound camp. It was on the corner of 2 o'clock and Esplanade. And we worked for months. It was entirely covered in black light fixtures. The inside had live grass. We had sod driven in. It had a live grass. We had a waterfall. We had DJ platforms. We had a hidden room underneath the stage. All this black light jungle material. So at night it was all lit up with black light with the grass floor. Daytime it was like an oasis. It was massive. It took huge amounts of effort. In fact, we were building Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we didn't open it until Tuesday night. We were working all through the week. And Tuesday night we opened up our opening night party and blew people's minds. It was such one of the greatest things I can remember in my life is standing in front of Xara as people would leave this thing that nobody could believe could exist in the middle of the desert, and just being like, wow, 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 just being like, so honored to bring that experience, to add so much to this experience that already is so magical to me. And the next day, the biggest windstorm that I've experienced in 14 years happened on the playa. And at some point in the afternoon, the wind got underneath our big metal framework of a shade structure that housed this huge thing, and it caught like a sail, and metal bars bent, things whipped up. There were tons of people in there trying to stay safe from the storm, and so metal bars and lighting fixtures were flying, glass broken, metal bars flying through the air. I mean, it was a playa miracle that no one was injured. But in the end, our camp was destroyed. And so the next day, as we sat in the wreckage, and I was bawling, many of us were crying. I mean, the amount of effort and time that we put into this, only to have it there for a few hours. And so as we sat there in the wreckage, just bummed out, and we were there for most of the day, and then finally the head of our camp came out, and he looked around, and we were kind of like, oh my gosh, how is he going to deal with this? And he said, you know, this is a good reminder of who's really in charge. Mother Nature is the director of this play. We are merely the actors on the stage. And I was like, what? That's it? Roll with the punches? I was so impressed. I was so blown away. And as we were sitting there then, just licking our wounds, thinking how terrible everything was, some people rode up on a bike, you know, it was like, do you guys know where Xara is? And I was like, you know, well, it was here, you know, expecting them to be like, oh no. And they went, oh, okay. And they rode away. And it occurred to me, wait a minute. I'm sitting in the wreckage. I'm looking at this scab, this wound, and just keep picking at it and just crying about how much it hurts and how bloody I am. And so once this occurred to me, we all got on our bikes and rode 30 feet away to where Burning Man was still happening. People were having an awesome time. And I look back, and that being one of the hardest Burning Mans I've ever had, as well as one of the best. Maybe my best experience ever at Burning Man was having so much terrible things happen, terrible things, because it taught me what I believe to be the core lesson of Burning Man, which is surrender. Not surrender in the sense of, I don't care what happens, just you use me, whatever. Surrender in the fact of like, you go with the current. And when it takes you someplace else that you weren't expecting, or maybe even didn't think you wanted to go, you go, okay, well, I'm here. What's awesome about this? Okay, it hasn't stopped blowing for 3 days. Well, then, what's something fun we can do in a windstorm? That surrender lesson, that ability to find what's awesome, that ability to not focus on obstacles, but instead just see every obstacle as the task at hand. That is huge. Something is only an obstacle if you are attached to the outcome. If you have to be at Burning Man, then this situation is horrific. If you want to go to Burning Man, then this situation is merely the task at hand. Can I get a ticket? How can I make this work? What will I do if I don't? Soon after that, a couple years after that, I went through the process of being with my grandfather as he died. And I went to go visit him one day, and he's a relentlessly optimistic guy. And I went to go see him in the hospital. And he had these things stuck in his arm, and he was really pale and weak. And I went to go see him. I said, hey, Grandpa, how you doing? And he said, did you know how good these doctors treat me? It's amazing. They take such good care of me. Modern science, it's a miracle. I was like, that's what you were paying attention to? That's your story as your body is falling apart, as you are struggling to stay awake, to struggling to speak? Your story about what's going on is that modern science is miraculous and the doctors treat you amazing? I have this theory that at every moment in your life, you have an ice cream cone in one hand and 1 foot in dog shit. At every moment in your life, you have amazing friends, you've got ideas in your head, you've got sunsets, you've also got injuries, obstacles, piles of work to do, financial troubles. Every moment in your life is filled with amazing opportunities and frustrations. There is an infinite number of things to pay attention to in this world. and there's a finite number of moments that you are conscious. The degree in which you focus your time on your cone or your crap influences whether you live in heaven or hell. Now, I'm not saying that you ignore the fact that you've got crap on your shoe. If you can find a way to clean that off, give that attention, do so, and do so from a place of progress, not anger. But do not put down your ice cream cone, as many people do, and go, "Oh my God, my shit is horrific! Come here, you have got to smell this. Oh no, this is bad. It's really bad. You should come smell this." We are often encouraged to bond, to focus on the shit in our lives. Try to avoid doing so unless you're in the process of cleaning that shit. If it's just there and you're just venting, ask yourself what the Course in Miracles says. Was I rather be right or would I rather be happy? Let that go for now and get back to the focus of the gift of this lifetime, the gift of this moment. Let go of your expectations. Let go of your attachment and surrender to what is. What joy and magic is in this dust storm. What you eventually find, I believe, is that when you spend enough time focusing on your cone, you start to realize that there actually is no shit on your shoe. Well, you might have something on your shoe that came from an animal, but it's actually fertilizer. And it is something that we need in our lives to get to where we need to go. There was an experiment years ago in the biodome where they had a self-contained environment. And at some point, the trees started falling down. It was an experiment to see if they could colonize other planets, so a self-sustained biosphere. And these trees started falling. And they brought in arborists and scientists, and they tried to figure out what disease might be doing this, and they couldn't find anything. And they finally realized what afflicted the trees was that they had never been exposed to storms. They had never been knocked around, and in doing so, been forced to develop a root structure that could sustain that kind of trauma and blows. Trees need storms to build the root structures to grow into what they are supposed to be. So do we. I understand that may not be an easy thing to grasp when you are also frustrated with things, but this is the fluctuations of life. And before we settle into any disaster, I hold on, no matter what statistics people are throwing. We don't know what's happening right now, and there's still 10,000 tickets to go. We're in a huge state of unknown. So yeah, we should still be looking at the crap on our shoe and figuring out, okay, is this stuff that we can maybe step around in the future? Is this stuff that we can still maybe clean off to a degree? But we don't know. Please don't set down the ice cream cone yet. I have been really focused on trying to find the positive in everything, but let me assure you that I have had many moments of frustration with the situation. My camp is really struggling with what to do. It's hard to make plans. It's hard to figure out, should we put energy into this system, or should we go to an event that everyone in our camp can go to? Should we scale back? Should we scale up? Should we invite new people? Should we... So yeah, this is hard. But one of the cool things is, just by the nature of it stirring us up, is that we can have moments of connection, moments of reminders of what the playa means to us, hopefully make that part of who we are all the time, and connect us with people who are in that vibe. Burning Man showed us this massive flag, this freak flag that we can gather around. Now we can take that flag into our communities and stake it up wherever we want, and help us find each other in the world. So thank you for being attracted to this freak flag stake, which gathering in this moment. It is, even with the turmoil, it is an honor, privilege, treat to share this moment with you. It helps me to recalibrate, remember who I am, what is important, and that we are all magical miracles trying to express ourselves, find who we are, find our purpose, make the world a little bit different, a little bit better, a little bit more loving. And with that, let's have ourselves a Hug Nation hug. So wherever you are, grab yourself by the shoulders. Oh, this body, this amazing healing thing that takes scratches and generates cells, that takes gases and pushes it through our body, that pumps blood through us, that sends stimulus to our brain and lets us see things and feel things. What an amazing ship this is to take us through the universe. A front row seat to the unfolding of the cosmos. Thank you, body. But beneath this shell is another shell of our personality, who we are. Camp leader, Republican, Mets fan. And we go through the world sometimes so attached to those identities that we see that role at odds with other people. We see people as our enemies or our obstacles, and we clack, clack, clack against their shells. But that's not who we are. Who we are is beneath that shell. Our true nature is something magical, a spark of life, the potential of love. And it is that fire, that light, that we need to tune into and see in others and allow to shine. So as we forgive ourselves for getting caught up in our story, forgive everyone else for getting caught up in theirs, try to see through the shell of everyone you meet in this week. So for just a second, let's see ourselves as just a bright light, shining free of shells, shining up, out into the world, out into the cosmos. And everyone in the world is that same bright light, just pure beams until the whole world is just illuminated like a second sun. Let's just take a breath and just sink into that connection and that unity. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the love warriors, happy Hug Nation. Thank you for shining your light. Thank you for finding your cone. Thank you for sharing you with the world. It is a gift. Thank you. Namaste. This is Halcyon, and I would love to stay connected. If you're on Facebook, I would love to be your friend, but I have maxed out on friends. But since almost everything I publish is public, if you want to just subscribe to my feed, it's kind of like we're friends, and then we beat the Facebook system. Also, please connect with me on anybeat.com, which is the burner-owned social network that I helped co-found and work at right now. So anybeat.com/Halcyon, come say hello. Facebook.com/John Stin, or YouTube.com/Halcyon Stin. Actually, it's user/Halcyon Stin. But if you're watching this video now, you hardly need the URL. You just need to click the YouTube video. It'll go to my page, and wow, technology. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be connected to you in this moment, and I hope we can have more of them. I love you.